Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to another episode of DemoPOD, the Demolition Podcast. That is Bill Ax, Barry Smash Darso. I'm your host, Ryan Marr. Now, depending on when you're watching this, if everything goes according to plan, which in the crazy world of professional wrestling, traveling, podcasting, doesn't always go to plan, but we are planning on having this episode be released on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and all your favorite podcast platforms on Friday, April 17th at 12 p.m., noon Eastern Standard Time. So depending on what part of the world you're watching or listening to this from, the above gentlemen will already be WWE Hall of Fame inductees. And if you're watching it a little bit early, they're still presumptive, riding the wave, going in. Guys, how you feeling? We're getting down to the wire now.
It's getting kind of giving us a little bit of nerves. We're anxious to get this underway.
I can imagine.
Pretty
Are you guys talking excited. Back and forth? Are you preparing the speech? I mean, I gotta give us a little insight on the preparation. Is it Zoom calls?
You know, the other day I asked Bill, I said, so Bill, what are you going to say for your speech? He goes, I'm just going to wing it. Yeah, that's what I always do. So I figure that's what we're doing. We're winging it. They haven't told us how much time we have. You know, it might be 2 minutes. It might be 20 minutes. Who knows? But, you know, whatever. It's just going to be a fun time.
Well, you can always pull the Iron Sheik thing and just keep going until they play you off. So,
well, we have some things that we generally want to say and people we want to thank, but to write it down, and we've got 25 people in our ear, and then all you do is mess up. So we've done enough interviews and takes that we can do it. So I think we can handle it.
You know, the only thing though is I told my wife, I said, now, don't get mad at me if I forget your name. I said, I might be a nervous freaking wreck out there, you know. And so I figured I better write her name on there and write my son and everybody's name on my hand or something so I can, you know, it'd be terrible to say the wrong name or something, you know.
Well, what we can do is we can write it on our foreheads and look at each other.
There you go. Yeah. And just in case this is the last episode of DemoPOD, the Demolition Podcast, we realized because Barry forgot his wife's name.
That's right.
Yeah.
Live during this whole thing. It is nerve-wracking, and it makes me think back to a clip that has since gone viral all over the internet. It's with the great actress Kathy Bates, and she's being interviewed on CBS, and she starts to get upset because she talks about her Academy Award nomination from way back in the early 90s, and when she won the Academy Award, and she goes, I forgot to thank my mother. And they're like, no, you did thank your mother. And then they showed her the clip and she went, oh, thank God. I was worried about it. So it is nerve wracking. I can only imagine what you guys are going through. But you know what? If you're watching this tonight, it's already done with. We're expecting a lot of people to come on to this episode and you know, say, hey, I want to see more Demolition. And that's why we have a very special guest tonight. And I know this is somebody who is a very good friend to both of you. And I'm a huge fan. And this is like surreal to me because I got you two guys on me on the screen. Another guy's about to pop up. I had all of your action figures growing up. He's one of the most notorious heels from the 1980s era of professional wrestling. He started out in the UWF, up ahead with the guy on the top of the screen. He went on to the golden era of the World Wrestling Federation, where he had a singles run. Later went on to become part of a tag team called the Twin Towers with the Big Boss Man. And then he went over to WCW, where he was a member of the Dungeon of Doom, once again, reigniting a feud with Hulk Hogan, became the WCW United States Champion. I'm really excited to have him here. Please welcome to the podcast, the One Man Gang. There he is.
All right, gentlemen, glad to be here. I want to thank you guys for inviting me on your podcast.
Oh, it's great. It's great to have you, my friend. We always enjoy seeing you.
Two of the best people right there in the world. And I want to say a couple of things. Congratulations on your signing a Legends deal with WWE, because you are legends. And secondly, of course, is your induction into the WWE Hall of Fame. Well-deserved and well overdue.
Thank you, my friend. We appreciate that.
Thanks, gang. That's huge.
This is surreal for me too, and you know, you're saying thank you for being on. Thank you for being with us. I mean, you are a legend from that era. And now you're doing some exciting things. We recently just saw you at TNA Wrestling. You were in attendance, and I think it's great that you're going to be doing this podcast with us because it's not something that you often do. Tell me a little bit, gang, about your relationship with both of these gentlemen. I know that you started out in the UWFs. That's probably how you met Mr. Darcy.
I'm going to have to correct you right there. I started out in ICW with the Poffos, Lanny, Macho Man Randy Savage, Angelo Poffo. They had a group in Kentucky called ICW, International Championship Wrestling. And that's really kind of where my first territory. I'd been working in.
Oh, we lost the gang.
Well, we lost the gang, but that's okay. But, it's funny, and we're going to keep going until we get them back. But it's funny. I've heard so much about ICW over the years and how it was kind of like this rival outlaw promotion and the whole thing with Memphis. I had no idea that gang came from there, but he kind of fits the stereotype of what you hear about that promotion. He had that outlaw look. I wouldn't want to mess with that guy.
He's one of the great workers in this business, and been a good friend of ours for a number of years. My favorite character, not to slight Akeem, but my favorite character has always been the one-man gang. And when I first saw him in Louisiana territory, I was very, 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 very impressed with his presentation.
Yeah.
For a guy being that big, he could move and you could trust him that he didn't hurt you. Because a lot of times when these guys are coming off the ropes and they're hitting you and landing on you, they really do land on you. And he took care of you. So, it was just a pleasure working with him. And it was just, he was just an incredible guy,
Yes.
You could tell. And I like I had told you, Barry, before we started recording, I had a conversation with his wife yesterday, and she was lovely and absolutely hilarious. Actually, the first 10 minutes of the conversation, and I had never met this one before, had nothing to do with professional wrestling. We were ranting and raving about how horrible cell phone service is and how ironic that we're seeing that now. But to Bill's point, as our fill-in producer tonight, Rob, is waiting to touch base with Mr. Gang. To Ax's point, though, what a great, quote-unquote, big man worker. That term gets thrown around a lot. And when I think about the athletic and agile big men, his name comes to mind, Bam Bam Bigelow. And, of course, his tag team partner in the Twin Towers, Big Boss Man Ray Traylor. As a young, overweight kid watching professional wrestling, you'd see the bodybuilder guys, and it was kind of like, oh, those are the superheroes. But when you would see those big, burly guys go in there and tear it up, an overweight kid could look at that and go, oh, wow, look at that. And I just always thought those guys were great. And one-man gang, impressive. I mean, if you're going to build that stereotype heel in a laboratory, that's a guy you want. Because if you see that guy in a bar, or if you see that guy walking down the street, you're going to turn around and walk the other way.
Exactly. A lot of the times there he's back. Good to see you, my friend. Stay with us.
I don't know what's going on, man. Technology, man. Who knows anything about technology?
It was a good thing you weren't there, because we knocked the crap out of you already. So it was a good thing you weren't there. So we were just talking about how much we liked working with you, gang. You were excellent in the ring, a lot of fun, and we didn't get hurt, and that's a great night.
Well, I can't say the same thing about you guys, but I think I'm still concussed from the last couple of matches we had together. So I believe that's what's wrong with me nowadays. I'm kind of concussed, and brain's just not working right from 40 or 50 double axe handle smashes to the back. I don't know.
Well, we were told by the office to lay him in, and we did offer the pay for the first ambulance ride to the hospital.
Well, I don't know. I'm still waiting for the payment. So,
you said the last couple of matches. What I found fascinating in doing some research for this episode, when we knew that you were going to be coming on, was that you guys, Demolition and the Twin Towers, and that was, of course, when One Man Gang was working as Akeem, there weren't any matches that were on TV, but the house show loop that you guys ran literally all over the country and Canada was absolutely insane. I have right here, May 1st, it started in Hamilton, Ontario, double DQ. May 3rd, Utica, New York, double countout. And then it runs all the way till the end of May. I was actually at the May 8th show at the Meadowlands, which was wild. But you did the whole loop. It went from May all the way through till the end of July. And yet the double countouts, double DQs, because at that time, Twin Towers were feuding with the Mega Powers. Demolition were the tag team champions. So you guys still look strong. What was it like going into the ring every night knowing that that was one of the finishes you were going to work with? Double count out, double DQ. Do you try different things to get there, or is it kind of like the same match throughout the whole loop?
What about it, guys? What do you think? For me personally, once I got a good match and we knew it was different areas, I could pretty much stay with it myself.
Okay.
Yeah, and we felt comfortable each night working with these guys. You knew you were going to have an exciting match. You knew you were going to have fun. And you also, most importantly, knew you weren't going to get hurt. So those are the ingredients you look for.
Yeah, I was just looking on the computer. We went against the Twin Towers in 1989 at Cops Coliseum, and that's on YouTube.
That is on YouTube.
Yeah, and the boss man and Akeem just beat the crap out of us.
No, geez, come on now. Now, what video are you watching? I believe that was been highly edited some way. I don't know how.
Master Fuji edited it for us.
No, we was never told we was going to be working against them. The way I found out was just through promos, where we ended up doing promos against them. So they didn't actually come and say, we're going to put you guys against Demolition. We just ended up doing promos, and that's how I found out. I was looking forward to it just to be, different.
But now when you're doing a run like that, and this is for all three of you, when you're doing a run like that all around the country for 3 months and it's not on TV, is there ever any interaction with the office where you guys say, hey, you know what, we think that this could be something that would make money on a pay-per-view? Or are you just kind of going with the flow and seeing what happens? Like, do you ever have that yearning to go like, hey, let's take this somewhere else, let's move on? Or do you have no say in that at all at that time?
Well, I think the office has their idea what they want to push, and we were just having fun. We weren't getting hurt. We were making money, and why throw a wrench in it as far as I was concerned?
Exactly. That's the best way to say it, just the way he said it right there.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back in time a little bit because, again, a lot of the fans that are going to be watching this remember the WWF Golden Era, which is when the one-man gang transitioned from being one-man gang into Akeem, the African Dream. But I still want to go back because we have one-man gang here. I want to hear about some of those early UWF days because I was born in 1983. So I was literally coming into the world right when you guys were running wild, as they say, in UWF. But I am fascinated with hearing the stories from that territory, hearing about Cowboy Bill Watts and how he ran that territory. And talk about some of the guys that gang specifically worked with while in UWF. We're talking Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Junkyard Dog. If you guys can share some memories of those early UWF days, I'd love to hear them.
Well, it was really the actual first start of the company was Mid-South.
Okay.
It wasn't UWF till a little bit later when he tried to become kind of a more, international, go all over the country. But before that, it was Mid-South. I believe that's where I first bumped into Crusher Darso.
Yeah. I was very fortunate that I didn't have to wrestle the gang back then because he was a young stud. And he was a hell of a worker down there. But that's where I first met the gang.
But if you notice, everybody you mentioned, Duggan, Junkyard Dog, Paul Orendorff, all them guys, they transitioned to WWF. So, I guess that tells you the talent they had in Mid-South at that time.
Oh, 100%. And talk about, real men's men. I always hear the stories about the Mid-South days where Bill Watts wanted his guys to be as legit in real life as they were on screen. So now that I'll have to pivot, was your first meeting with Mr. Edie Ax in the WWF, or did it come before that?
I believe the first time I bumped into him, well, not as a fan now, growing up, I grew up in South Carolina, so I was a huge Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling fan. So as a fan, I used to watch him as Mass Superstar. I was a big fan of the Superstar. So, I didn't know him personally, but I was a big fan. So that's where I first saw him. And then I seen him also on I believe what was the ICW when he was the Mongol?
Yeah, IWA.
IWA. Forgive me, yeah.
But I remember coming into Mid-South at the time, and that's where I met Gang, and I was impressed. He was working, and I remember we were talking not too long ago. We were at a signing in Columbus. We were talking about the time that I met his boy, and he was a little boy at the time, and we were chatting back and forth. And how old is he now, Gang?
41.
Gee, 41.
You can see how long we've known each other.
He's a year younger than me.
Yeah. In fact, your wife sent me a picture when your son was sitting on my lap when he was just a little kid.
I know. It's amazing. It is amazing.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But you was talking about Bill Watts. I mean, yeah, he was he was a stickler for rules and regulations and passing out fines. But hey, when you're dealing with professional wrestlers, as everybody knows, if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. So you have to do, he had to do that to keep everybody under control. And, he did what he had to do. And obviously you could see it in the houses and things because people believed that when I used to work Junkyard Dog in New Orleans at the Municipal Auditorium, and it got so bad down there, people would like start chanting, who that gonna beat that dog, and you're trying to get heat on Junkyard Dog, and you'd have people jumping the railings on you. It was a madhouse.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people refer to Junkyard Dog as Hulk Hogan in Louisiana before Hulk Hogan.
He was.
That was
He was.
person.
He was the franchise down there.
He was the franchise for a long time, and then once Vince got him away, then they kind of slid Hacksaw Duggan into that spot, and Hacksaw Duggan kind of took over for a good while. So, I had a lot of battles with Duggan also.
Yeah, me too. And a quick story, right before the Junkyard Dog left, he came up to me and he said, Barry, he says, you got to come up to New York here. He says, I got the most unbelievable deal from Vince. And I told him, I said, I'm just learning this business down here. I can't go to New York yet. And, it was, the New York pulled all the top talent from all the different territories. And Junkyard Dog was so excited to go. But then when I talked to him later on, he said the greatest territory he was in was that Louisiana territory. He had a lot of fun down there.
Wow. You would think, the money he was making in New York just from marketing, I heard the figures were unbelievable at that time.
Oh,
the paychecks from those first set of figures that came out, I heard they were unbelievable.
But you remember that territory, though, just being a smaller territory, it was kind of fun, even though, you had the 300-mile trips and 300 miles the next day and this and that. It was actually fun. Where New York, when you hop on that plane at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it just kind of got to you after a while.
Yeah, don't forget now, Louisiana, we had them double shots also. I got a little brutal too. Many a times I would have to get in the car all bleeding and bloody and have my gear on. Didn't have time to shower because you had to get to the next show.
Yeah.
Now,
but then New York started that also. So
geography was never really my strong suit, but if you could give me an example, like if you're working in Louisiana and you have a double shot, what's the most amount of distance in between those two shows you would have to travel in one day?
You'd probably do 200 miles, maybe 150 miles or so. It might be a small spot show in the afternoon, and then you would go to a main, like a Lake Charles or, a Shreveport or something at night.
Well, we used to do TV up there in Shreveport, and then you have to make it down to La Ronge, Louisiana for that night show.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And that was 2-lane highway, and you had to drive 70, 80 miles an hour with potholes, and if you were late, you got a fine.
Yeah, exactly right. It was brutal. I'm not going to say it wasn't. I was, as for me, it was, like a great for me because I, being in there and doing the things I got to do and everything. That's what I dreamed of doing my whole life since I was a youngster. So being in there, to me, it wasn't, that brutal to me. To me, it was like, man, I'm doing what I love to do. And I just carried on day to day. I had Skandor Akbar as my manager. So, I got to travel with him a lot. And all the guys there were great guys, So it was pretty easy, really, for me. A lot of guys talk bad about the territory, but, it kind of kicked me off, kicked my career off a little bit. That's where they actually came up with One Man Gang name, Skandor Akbar and the announcer, Boyd Pierce, used to be an announcer for him, and they come up with the One Man Gang name. So,
which is such a great name. I mean, really, when you look back on it, great. What a great name.
So that wasn't Bill Watts that came up with that. That was those guys, huh?
Yeah, they come up with it. What they had done was when I was working for the Pafos, they would bring me into Louisiana, and the show would already be in progress. They would sneak me in the back door, and it'd be like the main event, maybe Dusty Rhodes against, whoever. And at the given time, they would send me to the ring. I would just squash Dusty, splash him, blah, 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 and they would stretcher him out. The next week, it might be Dick Murdoch. The next week, it might be Ted DiBiase. Same situation. So when they put all these clips together, they showed them as, like, here's this clip, this clip, this clip. And then just out of the blue, somebody said, he's like a one-man gang. And that's the name that kind of just started following me around after that. They stuck it on me.
Great name. Great name. I never knew that.
Yeah, that's how it came about. Luckily, I mean, heck, I didn't care what they called me. They could have called me Humpty Dumpty. All I wanted to do was wrestle. I didn't care. So I just got lucky in that position, and that's how I got the name. I mean, hey, look at you, Crusher Darso, and then Khrushchev, Crusher Khrushchev.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I love this conversation because I'm getting educated so much and learning about you. The fact that you said that you grew up a fan, I think that's huge because we hear that a lot from the current crop of talent, and it's obvious. You can see who inspired who from the past. But to hear you say, I just love doing this, and I grew up a fan of the Masked Superstar, you are a shining example, Mr. Gang, of how to succeed in this business because you took what they gave you and you ran with it. You just said your name came up in commentary. He's out there like a one-man gang. You leaned into that. When it was time to become Akeem, you leaned into that because you were having so much fun and you knew that the goal was to get over what needs to get over. But I want to just backtrack and ask you, you had mentioned growing up a huge fan of the Masked Superstar. Did you ever have that moment when the Twin Towers are wrestling Demolition early on and you say to yourself, I've made it. I'm actually in the ring now with the guy that I grew up watching on television in South Carolina. Do you have any moments that you get to take that in and allow yourself to enjoy that, or is it just part of the grind?
Well, I never, my whole career said I made it. I mean, the whole time I was in the dressing rooms or working, whoever it happened to be. I mean, when I worked against Dusty Rhodes or Andre the Giant or worked with Harley Race and then against Harley Race, I'm like, man, this ain't right. I got to wake up from this dream. It never really, I couldn't put it in my brain that this was really happening, being in the dressing room with these same guys that I grew up watching, paying, $5 for a ringside ticket to watch them at the Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium where I grew up, see Masked Superstar against Mighty Igor and things like that, so, yeah, and then Superstar turned babyface on Gene Anderson's Army. I remember that, and it was crazy, man. I was such a huge fan, you couldn't believe it, the magazines and everything. That's another thing. But I saw your thing with Bill Apter. And I told Bill after, I said, man, why'd you tell me you had to write them stories? You just ruined my childhood. I believe those stories. You know, I used to read those stories and all. I believe those stories. I thought it was legit stories. He ruined my childhood.
Yeah, I mean, back before the internet in the 1990s, as a wrestling fan that wanted to consume all things wrestling, I just would pick up those magazines. As a matter of fact, when Brian Christopher, the late Brian Christopher, wound up debuting in WWE, and they waited like 2 years to reveal that, oh, this is the son of Jerry the King Lawler. I'm like, well, I already knew that because I was reading the Aftermag. So I could see how that's funny for someone like you. You make it there, and then you're going, oh, wait a minute. No, they're writing this stuff. That's very funny. Speaking of funny, though, I mean, I personally enjoyed the Akeem gimmick. I know it wouldn't necessarily fly in 2026, but your manager, Slick, was involved with you. Who was, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but did you have a favorite manager? Because you had some great ones. I mean, Demolition is most known for being with Mr. Fuji, but you've had some greats. You mentioned Mr. Akbar. There was Oliver Humperdinck. There was Gary Hart. And there was the Slickster. What kind of influence did your different managers have on both One Man Gang and Akeem?
Akeem, it wasn't quite so much, but the other managers, Playboy Gary Hart came up with the denim vest. He came up with the chain I used to carry. He came up with the mohawk look and all that. So he came up with a lot of the look of the classic one-man gang that everybody remembers, So I'll give Gary Hart props on that. Plus, he was kind of in the office with Fritz and them, so he kind of took care of his talent. So I was always involved, with angles and things going on with Devon Eric. So, I mean, to make your money, you pretty much had to be booked against Devon Eric somewhere on that card. So I was real lucky in that aspect. And the same with Humperdinck. When I actually got into Mid-Atlantic as a worker, I was put into the house of Humperdinck. So, I got real lucky there. And people ask me, where's the greatest place you ever wrestled? They think you're going to say Madison Square Garden or the Spectrum, Boston Gardens. I always tell them the greatest place for me was Spartanburg Memorial Auditorium because I grew up there. Getting to go into that same dressing room where all them stars, all the years I've seen Russell go into that dressing room, I finally made it into that dressing room. It was crazy, If I would have had a camera, I would have just took a picture of the bench or something sitting there.
That's cool.
That is very cool. And, like I said, again, hearing that you were such a passionate fan and then you got to do what you did is really incredible. I want to move over because after the Akeem run ended in WWE, you show up in WCW, and you and Barry, your time overlaps there a little bit. He was there as the Blacktop Bully. So Akeem was considered a comedy character, still a vicious heel. I mean, you guys were feuding with Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and the Mega Powers. But now you're going back to being the one man.
Hey, don't forget, we split up the Mega Powers.
Yes, you 100% did. 100%.
Had all the teams they could choose, they chose the Twin Towers to split them up. It could have been Demolition. They could have done it. It could have been Strike Force and whoever else. But they picked Twin Towers to do it.
And it fit. It fit. I'm sorry. I thought I heard some background there. Dealing with some audio issues here. But going into WCW now, you're back to the one-man gang. So you're probably thinking at first, okay, there's really not going to be much comedy involved here. But they put you in the Dungeon of Doom with Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah.
And, some memories of that, because there was a lot of very interesting vignettes and all kinds of wild stuff going on there. What was it like to be a part of that whole creative process?
It was just all... It was basically Kevin Sullivan. Any idea he'd come up with, we would try. He'd do the face makeup, and we did a thing where he was putting me under his spell, of course. I mean, that was his big gimmick, all through his career was a devil worshiper, type person or whatever. But, I was under his spell, so we did a thing with some voodoo stuff where Dusty and that kid from Wonder Years, I forget what his name is.
Jason Hervey. Jason Hervey.
He had the little one-man gang doll, and he was poking him with the with the needle, and I was like reacting to it all, and they had like a split shot of him poking me, and I'm over here screaming like he's poking me in the butt and things like that. It was just just comedy stuff, and that was basically it.
Well, no, that wasn't basically it with your WCW run, because then you go on to defeat Conan to become the United States heavyweight champion.
That was my second time in there. The first time Dusty brought me in, he after WWF, Dusty called me and offered me a job down there. That was the first time. The second time in with Mr. Bischoff in charge, that's when I won the United States title.
Now, when you're finding out that you're going to win the title, and again, forgive the mark over here, the casual, well, more than casual, but the fan, when you find out you're going to win the WCW United States title, especially during that time frame, Monday Night Wars, the early stages of it, there's the competition with WWE. Do they tell you, hey, gang, you're going to have X amount of time run with the title, or is it again just business as usual? Show up until you're told something different.
Just show up until you're told different. I didn't even know I was going to get the title. What happened was there was a show. They was doing a pay-per-view type show in Nashville. And it was like 10 matches, whatever. And I went on after the main event against a Japanese guy. I can't remember his name, but he was the United States champion at the time. He didn't want to relinquish the title. So they put me out there with him, and we did a gimmick finish where it's a 1, 2, 3. And I put my foot on, he put his foot on the rope, but I lifted it off. But the way they edited it together, it looked like I got the 3 count, and they gave me the U.S. titles, so it was just a transition, only held it for maybe a month, and it was just transition straight over to Conan. Why? I don't have any idea, but that's what the higher ups decided to do. Bischoff, I'm not, I don't want to say anything bad. He didn't even know I was in the territory. I was at the airport in Atlanta. I come in from Baton Rouge to Atlanta to catch another flight going to wherever they go in Ohio or somewhere. And I was checking in at the gate where all the guys were, and he looks at me and says, "One-man gang?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to, whatever town it was." And he says, "You work for us?" And I said, "That's what I do." So he didn't even know I worked for the company. That's how crazy it was, Well,
we're going to have to hopefully get you on his 83 Weeks podcast, and you guys can have a funny little exchange about that. Because
he ended up, about 2 weeks later, he ended up firing me. So
you could have still been there if you didn't show up for the ticket.
Yeah, why did you come to that
time? I had to show that stupid ticket counter. All the places, man. I'm kind of hard to hide in a crowd, so.
Hey, gang, I got to talk about this one. Remember, you, Bill, and I, we had a 6-man tag in ECW Arena. Remember that one? I remember that.
God, was that the funnest time ever? Bill and I were in the ring, and all of a sudden, Akeem starts coming out and doing his deal. Oh, was this the Chikara, the King of Trios?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
all right. Okay.
We had so much. We had so much fun. Oh my gosh!
I remember you was at the Walmart looking for makeup. You was in the makeup aisle. Barry was looking for makeup. I got to find the right makeup. I don't have the right kind of makeup.
I have to cut you off there, One Man Gang, because I was admonished by both of these gentlemen in our last episode and in the comments. It is not makeup. It is face paint.
Well, let me tell you, when I worked against them, that face paint would stay on my tights for the whole darn 3 weeks we was on the road. I would have a face of Mr. Darso right on my buttocks. After me sitting on his face, it would be there just like a tattoo for the whole day. It wouldn't wash off. I tried washing it and everything.
So maybe you shouldn't have been sitting on the man's face.
Well, he just got in the way, so I had to sit on him. So.
Ryan, you got that picture that you can show?
I got the picture. It's going to be up in post, and everybody that's watching will be able to see it. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple, you can go over to Instagram, search and destroy you. And also Ryan Mark Comedy will post it up. But yeah, I mean, of course it was going to be on his face because, I mean, you're sitting on his face.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Well, on him, it was the face. On my back, it was Mr. Edie's double fist. So, every match we had, I would end up with double fist marks all over my back.
Well, him and Boss Man used to abuse us so bad. It was just
terrible. Geez, come on now.
But I want to back up a little bit because I'm not, I'm kind of known for not being the most organized person in the world. There you go. We got the Akeem Hasbro action figure. That's worth some dollars right there. It's still boxed.
But at least 2 or 3.
Okay, what was he doing at Walmart? Barry, you mean to tell me you showed up at a show and you had forgotten your face paint? How do you have to go to Walmart the day of the show? What happened there?
Lost my bag.
Oh, all right. Now I feel bad. I can't bust chops for that. Can't bust chops for that. But that Chikara King of Trios, that was around the time that Demolition reunited for that final indie run. And I remember seeing clips of that. Very exciting. But gang, what's it like for you nowadays? Because you guys are still keeping busy. I mean, you were just in TNA wrestling. These guys are going into the WWE Hall of Fame. And I have a feeling that you're going to wind up there very soon because I also believe that it's long overdue for you. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people in the comments that are echoing those same sentiments. But what's it like for you now? All these years?
It's, I don't do too much. I go out every so often. I'm not near as much as these guys go out. We was in Columbus, Ohio a few weeks back, and they were like constantly people at the table. I'm sitting over there twiddling my thumbs, enjoying a Coca-Cola, and they're over there signing and taking pictures, and I'm cussing the people. What are you doing over there? You're supposed to be over here.
That was all of our family showing up.
Yeah, sure it was. Now, they had some nice figures. That one big box, there were some nice-looking figures. I don't know if that's WWE figures or who did them, but they're nice.
They got a lot of stuff, yeah. But I got to tell you, gang, you got to do more of these, man, because you're absolutely hilarious. I had a great time. Your wife had me cracking up on the phone yesterday, and you have stories to tell. I mean, here I am sitting here learning so much about you, and I'm a fan. I have your action figures. So I think you should definitely be making your rounds more on the podcast. Is there anywhere where fans can reach out to you? Are you active on social media or anything?
No. I don't have any social media at all. I don't. You saw what happened just with this, so that tells you right there why I don't do social media.
Guess what? I'm in a studio right now because I can't figure it out at my house. So no judgment here. We can always.
At least you got a studio. I'm in a closet somewhere.
I'm in the studio. I'm not, Let's not compare our tales of woe, gang. But what I'm saying is,
can I throw this in real quick? A few shows back, you were talking about the Royal Rumble, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now you was asking about did they do a experimental Royal Rumble?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now somebody sent me a digital clipping of a newspaper ad, and it's from the Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis. It was October the 4th, and it's for the first time in wrestling history, a 12-man Royal Rumble. The Rumble starts with 2 men in the ring. One is added every 2 minutes. Entrants are eliminated by being thrown over the top rope. The lone survivor is the winner. So there you go. We did have a test run, and I don't remember it at all, but we did have a test run in a Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis. And the Demolition was on the card. You worked the British Bulldogs.
You know what? We've been looking for a new research analyst. You're hired. We've been looking for a new research guy, and you just got the job. So there you go.
I worked against Junkyard Dog. I'm sure that was a classic. Ricky Steamboat took on King Kong Bundy. I bet you that was a classic. And Paul Orndorff took on Rick Rude. Morocco against Orton, and Hillbilly against Volkov. Now, I know that went down in history. But yeah, they did have a test run on the Royal Rumble. So there you go.
That must have been one of those matches where we didn't even know we just said, yeah, heck with it. Let's leave the building. And they were out there by themselves probably.
Who knows, man? To me, it was probably just another match for us, and we didn't even pay attention to it. Because I don't have the slightest memory of it, but there is a paper ad about it. So.
all of the other comedians that I work with, when they listen to this podcast, they go, how do these guys, not know about, like the Survivor Series matchup? They were just told, I go, guys, they're on the road 350 days a year. So, I mean, depending on what kind of mood you're in, even showing up to the arena, God knows how far into the loop you are. You get there. Oh, by the way, stick around because we're doing a 12-man experiment.
Yeah.
Okay. No, see you later. Like, I got to get to the next town.
Right, exactly. I mean, a lot of times when we did promos, we didn't even have a name of a town. You would just do a basic, promo for against Demolition, and they would run it for the whole loop. I guess I don't really know, but it's very seldom you would have a town mentioned.
Yeah, that's the way they would do it. They put it on the loop.
So
I actually remember as a kid kind of learning about how TV works through WWF Superstars. I remember Sean Mooney had the event center, and I'm watching the WWF Superstars show on Fox 5, which was the local New York, New Jersey affiliate that showed it. And then they go to the event center, and Sean Mooney says, tonight at Madison Square Garden, 8 p.m., and he runs down the card. Me, as an 8-year-old kid, for some reason thought there was going to be wrestling on the MSG network that night because that was a channel, the Madison Square Garden channel. And I remember thinking all day, like, oh, I'm going to get to see this great card. And then it wasn't on. And that's how I learned about house shows. I said, oh, yeah, no, they're running it because WWF is in town at the Garden tonight, and I live close to that. So that was always something interesting that I learned. And like I said, you guys being on the road that much, I mean, you're not having production meetings or whatever. You're showing up and you're being told, hey, this is what you're doing. It's really completely different from what's going on nowadays with the product.
Yeah, well, I can remember the one I do remember is SummerSlam when it was a 6-man tag. Them guys and Duggan come out with the face paint. Duggan had his face painted. So, of course, who loses the fall? One-man gang. Akeem loses the fall by getting hit in the back of the head with a 2x4.
just incredible times, incredible memories. So I hope, gang, that you reconsider getting out there on social media. It's a lot easier than doing this stuff, and you're great at podcasting. Do you have any appearances coming up in the future that you'd like to plug? You going to be doing anything with these guys coming up?
No, I have nothing scheduled at all in the future. I just hang around the swamps here and catch an alligator every once in a while. That's about it for me. So, no, I don't catch alligators. I'm just, if anybody believes that, I got a bridge in New York I can sell you.
Tell us real quick, because I'd really like to know what's going on with TNA Wrestling. You had
that was it, man. I was total surprised. They were in town that Friday and Saturday, and Thursday, Tommy Dreamer called me and said, I was flying in and remembered you live down here. Would you be interested in coming to the show? And, he offered me a little deal, and so I went to the show, and that's basically what happened. I got to hang out behind the scene, and they got us ringside seats, and awesome. That's how it went, Got to wave at the camera a little bit.
I'm a little disappointed, gang. You should have hit the ring.
Well, you got to be able to get over the railing to hit the ring. I couldn't even get over the railing. Are you kidding me?
It's funny. Smash really, really wants a piece of the action. I wouldn't be shocked at WrestleMania 42 if he does somehow get involved with Jelly Roll and something.
I know. He can still get in there and pound away on him. Me, I couldn't even walk up the steps to get in the ring. So
I'd be so blown up just getting to the ring. It's probably about a mile in that arena. Holy cow.
Well,
yeah, on WrestleMania days, it wasn't nothing like it is now. It was just basically, we knew it was WrestleMania, but it was just basically another day, and then the next day go to TV somewhere or whatever. It was just, it wasn't like a week-long extravaganza.
No, it's like the Super Bowl now, literally. I know that comparison has been made for many years, but when you think about all the media and promotions and events, and it really is the Super Bowl of professional wrestling. And I know Ax and Smash are going to be very busy this weekend because, like I said, when this episode goes up, it will be WrestleMania weekend, and they'll be in the WWE Hall of Fame. But here's what I want to do. for One Man Gang, because I want to convince him that he needs to be on social media and he needs to be out there because he's got stories to tell. If you're in the comments, if you have any questions, comments, anything about the One Man Gang, feel free to drop them. We'll pass them along to him. And I really hope that at some of these upcoming conventions that are popping up, that we get to see the One Man Gang out and about, because you are absolutely hilarious. Hall of Fame tonight, or it was last night if you're watching it the next day. Congratulations to Ax and Smash. Mr. Gang, anything you'd like to say in closing, sir?
Not really. Just, congratulations to you two guys. I'd love to have been there or be there in person, but that's just not going to happen. And I don't have ESPN, so I hear it's being broadcast on ESPN, so I can't afford that. I'm an ex-wrestler, so.
Well, thank you, gang.
On the WWE YouTube channel. I don't know, but
I believe that it's going to be on YouTube.
Okay, well, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna listen to you guys' speeches, see if you get the wives' names right.
I know I'll get mine right, but now that
well, I gotta make sure that Crusher Darso gets his right too. You know, I want to see that. You gotta get that. You gotta get the whole family in there: the wife, the kids, the grandkids' names, everybody. You can't leave anybody out. If so, you're gonna be sleeping at the doghouse.
Yeah.
Now I'm a nervous wreck.
Yeah. I'm not even going to tell them, gang, that I want one DemoPOD plug. I'm not even throwing that out there. I don't want to jumble
I want you to walk out there in your demo mask. Now you got to go out with the demo mask and pull them off. Have the tongue painted red. You got to have the red in the mouth and stick the tongues out, and you got to give them something. Come on, man, it's showbiz, baby.
Yeah, it's been 36 years since they've been on television. Give the people what they want. And you know what? For everybody in the comments that gave me a hard time for calling their face paint makeup, I bet you won't give the One Man Gang a hard time for talking that. No, it's easy.
Makeup, face paint, whatever. It's all good. They were Demolition. They deserve what's coming to them right now. So they get to wear that nice shiny ring around to all the signings now. So that'd be really nice. And maybe the price gets to go up just a little bit, just to be able to put that HOF.
Great stuff. One Man Gang, thank you so much. Barry, I'm sorry.
Sir, thank you. I'm sorry about the mess up here. Like I said, I'm in the swamps, and whatever happened. I'll have to jump on Dan the man there in the Caribbean or wherever he called me from. He said he was on some island out there in the middle of the ocean. I don't know.
Yeah, we're paying him way too much money, is really what it is.
That's what I told him. I said, it must be nice. You're a millionaire. You get to go on these big vacations.
Hey, I'll tell you what, gang, thanks for coming on the DemoPOD. And I'll tell you, there's a few friends that you have in this business, and you're one of the top ones, I'll tell you. We love you, man.
All right, man. I'm gonna get back to reading Sickles, Studs, and Stolen Cars: The Many Faces of Barry Darso.
That's why I love him. He's pushing the book.
Push that book, baby. I got one in the mail, personally autographed.
I love it.
Thank you, gang.
Always all right, Mr. Bill, Mr. Superstar. Thank you very much.
Gang, take care, my friend.
I love you guys.
Love you too, man.
What a guy, man. You know what that just reminded me of? Like watching the Home Shopping Network. That guy's a pitchman. That guy.
He's hilarious.
What
a great guy. And his energy level's always high.
I'll tell you what, when he's got the table right down from you, you can always hear him. He's just, with the fans, he's working the fans, working the crowd all the time. He's just incredible.
And you know why? Man. Because he grew up a fan. And so he's given the people the experience that he wanted when he himself was a fan. And I love that, how it all comes full circle. And like you said, here we are all of these years later. And he's still out there doing his thing. Not as often as we would like him to. And I hope that changes, because what a talent. I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, there were a couple times where I just sat back and I said, oh man, this guy is making my job easy. And then when he had the answers to there was a 12-man at the Kiel Auditorium, I was like, take it, go for it. I mean, what a guy.
Yeah, I never knew that at all. That's very interesting. That's good.
And he didn't try to one-up you. He said he didn't remember it either, but somebody sent it to him. So that's pretty cool, too. But guys, what an episode. We're going to be having a lot more special guests. And my apologies to the fans that are watching this on YouTube that we had some issues with the one-man gang's visual aspect, but the audio worked out great. So we're going to fix that in post. We'll have Dan post up a little bit of graphic. I want to have him back on a future episode because I feel like we barely scratched the surface of all the memories and stories you guys have.
Well, and I want to see his face when he's telling these stories, because that's half the thing, the way he talks and everything. You want to see him,
And that was also one of the issues that I was having a little bit too, because I couldn't see him to see when he was going to stop talking. I just was looking at a black hole and then he would stop and then I'd be like, I'm just going to let him go because he's entertaining me. But search and destroy you on Instagram. We also have Demolition Pod on Instagram. I'm Ryan Marr Comedy. Real Demo. Well, I'm sorry, Barry. What's the Twitter again? Off the top of my
Real
head.
Demo Smash.
Real Demo Smash on Twitter. We'll have those graphics put up. Guys, I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. I can't wait to hear about everything that went down for the Vegas weekend. And it's going to be a great time. Anything you guys want to say in closing?
Well, we'll relay some stories to you when we get back, I'm sure.
I can't wait.
It's going to be hectic and busy, but we're looking forward to it. And I'm sure that both the wives are going to tell us, well, you should have said this, should have said that. My daughter's already got a long list. She said, take some notes. So I got about 500 index cards that I'm supposed to go, but I'm not doing them. So
reminding you of your old teaching days going through.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan, great job on this podcast too. You are doing a really good job. Thank you for all of it. And I wish you could be out at WrestleMania and we could do one out there. That'd be great.
I know. I you know what? I wish I could too. It worked the way the scheduling worked out. It just didn't pan out. I already had comedy gigs booked, but I will tell you what, we have been talking. I would like to see some live demo pods and stuff. Reach out to us on Instagram. These guys are great storytellers. You can see how they can interact with their peers and their friends from back in the golden era. I think we should be doing some live Q&A type stuff and meet and greet. And hey, reach out to us. That's always a possibility in the future. But for right now, search and destroy you on Instagram, Real Demo Smash on X, Ryan Marr Comedy on Instagram, Demolition Pod. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. Congratulations to the new WWE Hall of Famers, Ax and Smash Demolition. Guys, see you real soon.
Thank you, my friend.
Here comes the axe, and here comes the smash.